What's going on, YouTube? Claic Yuzolt back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius video, and in today's video we're talking all about Bahamut Dark Fina, Phoenix Jake, and Lakshmi Lid, and how strong they are, and if they could interest you and what value they have in FFBE. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so first up we have Dragon Dark Fina, or Bahamut Dark Fina. We're gonna have her as one of the top best damage dealing mages in the game. You know, Ace was really strong, Rim was really strong. They just came out last week, but like I said, I do believe Gumi and Square Enix are just fast forwarding us to the meta that is NV units, and these guys are gonna be at the top tier. Both of these units that are damage dealing here with Jake and Dark Fina are gonna be out of this world powerful, and they're also gonna be very good for Dark Visions as well. She's gonna have Chaining Family of Bolting Strike, Chaos Wave, and Chaos Wave Awakened. With Chaos Wave Awakened, if you're trying to do her most damage with her dark abilities, gonna take the cake here and gonna be the one that you're actually gonna be using quite often. Her TMR is Dark Bahamut Synergy, giving you 50% magic, and then also Dragon Killer, Dragon Magic Killer, which is great. It's not niche, you can use it on a lot of units, and it will be useful on a lot of units. I think it's a great TMR that a lot of people should pick up and make sure they get if they end up getting a Bahamut Dark Fina. Next up, we have the STMR, which is Dark Empress Birch. It's going to be a whip with attack 68, 180 magic, element dark on it, and then also has imbued with the Dark Dragon King's Might, which is going to give you guys increased equipment magic 50% when dual wielding, so true dual wield magic. The only problem I have with this STMR, I would say it's really, really great because it is that it will be niche, way more niche than her TMR, which is something in this game you have to keep an eye on, as we know, because it is a whip, and not all magic users can use whips. A lot of units in the game can't use whips. It's actually quite a niche weapon, kind of like the mace, in my opinion, so you have to be careful of that. Other than that, it's very powerful. It'll be great on her, and it's something to look forward to if you're going to be using whip magic users. Scrolling on down, you know, Dark Fina is all about doing a lot of damage, as we expect out of these damage dealing units. She covers 3 main, but she has a really cool rotation, which we'll talk about. She has 3 main elements that she's going to cover. It's going to be Wind, Earth, and Dark, with Dark being her massive damage dealing rotation. If you have to lean into the Earth or Wind, it's fine, but you're not going to be doing as much damage as you would think you would. The Aura of Darkness is going to be a mainstay ability in her rotation, going to increase her LB gauge to 100. She needs to be casting this, and the great thing about it is she has, actually, if we scroll on down, we have triple cast here, but she also gets, let's see, where's the ability here that gives it to her? It is her Sorcerer's Aura. Gives her quadruple dark magic, so we're going to be able to forecast here, and it is going to be castable in that, so we're going to have to weave that into our rotation. We're not going to be spamming her LB. She is not an LB spammer. She does need to cast it once to get the multipliers. We'll look in a minute, but Aura of Darkness is going to be something she needs to be casting, and it's great that it can be multicast, whichever one you're doing, triple cast or quadruple cast, but once you get it set up, you'll be doing the quadruple cast. So on turn 1, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down, and we'll talk about her build in a minute. I just want to get through the main way you're going to use her. She is going to be able to cast Aura of Darkness off the bat because of her Blessing of the Black Crystal, which is a 120 skill that she learns, okay? So what that means is, very much so, she's going to want to cast her LB turn 1. If we scroll down and look at her LB, decreases Wind, Earth, and Dark resist by 120% for all enemies. So she's already imperiling on turn 1, getting a 250% magic boost, huge dark damage, 50 times to all enemies, and enables skill for 5 turns, quadruple dark power. So you're doing this big damage, this big imperil, getting quad cast, and then you're also increasing modifiers for all of her great damage dealing abilities here for 9,999 turns. So you only need to cast this once, as long as you don't go down and die, but then you would have to cast it again after that. So you may be thinking, well, Claic, if we already get it at the beginning of the turn, why are you saying we need to weave Aura of Darkness into our rotation? Well, she works a little bit differently because her big bad dark mega flare does use LB Crest to be able to be cast, and if you look down here, that is the maximum. 45 is what it takes to get her LB, which would be quite a lot if she didn't have this amazing move in Aura of Darkness. So after we cast her LB, we're going to want to quadruple cast Sorcerer's Aura. Then we're going to want to hit them with the Dark Impact, and then Dark Mega Flare. So you're going to want to have Sorcerer's Aura on at all times. You know how these buffs work. Increase magic 300% for 4 turns to caster. Increase magic damage against machines and dragons. She's going to be a powerhouse against dragons and machines when it comes to doing magic damage. And then Dark Impact is going to be like her main chaining ability, with Dark Mega Flare being like the big daddy hit at the end. If you look over here, it is a chain finisher move, similar to we've had with all these units that are coming out where it hits, it has a big hit at the end, and it's going to actually ignore Spirit at the end, as we all know, and those are Chaos Awakened here, as you can see. This is going to be very important. That's going to be the rotation. You need to make sure you have your LB filled up with Aura of Darkness. You're going to chain it up with Dark Impact, and then finish with Dark Mega Flare, because it does finish itself. The other ability you want to make sure that you guys are casting as you go through your turns is this other big hitting damage dealing ability that also decreases dark resist. So we were only getting our Imperil from the LB. Now we're getting our Imperil from Dark Dragon King's Roar. Dark, and you can have it for Earth or Wind, remember, whichever one you're doing. However, if you look, Dark Impact, Dark Mega Flare, they're both dark damage. If you go to Earth Impact, Wind Impact, there's not like an Earth Mega Flare or a Wind Mega Flare, sadly. So you're going to be missing out on that nice Mega Flare damage, which really pushes her to the top. But she can still do it, and you just weave in this Earth and Wind, and instead of like double casting the Dark Impact, you know what I mean, double casting Dark Impact and then doing the Aura of Darkness, you would just cast Wind Impact or Earth Impact the 3 times, and then cast you know, the Earth or the Wind Roar when it was up on cooldown, because it does increase modifiers, and it also does a lot of damage, and it does the Imperil. So hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm rambling on a little bit here, but essentially it's going to be LB the next turn. Make sure you're casting Sorcerer's Aura to get that nice 300% buff, and make sure that quad cast is up. Then you're going to make sure that you have your LB up and ready if you're using dark damage. Then you're going to Dark Impact chain into Dark Mega Flare. When you have the turn up to be able to use the Dragon's King's Roar, you're going to use that also in that rotation of that 4. So it's going to be really easy to weave in and out, and that's going to be it. That's going to be her in a nutshell. You're just going to keep that going. It's a lot of different abilities to be using. It's a lot to keep your mind on to make sure the Imperil is going, but essentially you don't really have to think if the Imperil is going to fall off, because you want to be using the King's Roar, the Dark Dragon King's Roar, all the time, because of its big implications when it comes to damage down here. Increasing modifiers for 2 turns to Dark Impact is great as well, because you are casting that a lot, and to the King's Roar. So it's not like you have to think on the enemy, okay, is my Imperil going to come off? Because every 3 turns you're casting Dark Dragon King's Roar anyway. Every single turn, if you're going dark damage, you're casting Aura of Darkness, and every single turn you're just going to Dark Impact, and then Dark Mega Flare. So essentially you have 4 moves you can use, and then as you go through them, just make sure you knock them out. So you make sure you always are casting the Roar when it's on cooldown, make sure you're getting your LB, and then you fit in Dark Impact and Dark Mega Flare at the end as you can, so what's available. So that'll tell you how many times you need to cast Dark Impact. Hopefully that makes sense and helps you guys out. And then again, for her Earth and Wind, you just take out the Dark Mega Flare and the LB up, and you just go ahead and chain it up really hard and add in the necessary elements that you would need, Wind or Earth, as you're doing it. Moving on down through how to build her, she looks like she is going to be a true dual-wield mage, in my opinion. She does get some true double hand magic stuff going on here with single wielding any weapon, but with her TMR and her her STMR giving her the true dual wield, I would try to go that route myself personally if you end up getting her STMR. But again, if you need to, if you don't have the equipment to go true dual wield, what's great about this unit is they do give her the ability to do either one depending on what equipment you have, so that's going to be up to you. She does get that nice chain modifier increase that we do get with true dual wield units, and as I said, we talked about her TMR. It's going to be equipped on. You need it on first off for this stuff. I mean, you're going to get magic 100% from her TMR plus her TMR ability. Then you're going to get your nice true double hand or true dual, whichever one you decide to go down. So overall, this unit right here, you guys are not going to believe what kind of damage she can put out. If you guys were struggling in Dark Visions with magic damage dealing, that's another thing you got to look at here when we look at her damage when we're talking about Dark Visions, is that she does have a lot of 2-1 enemy. So she's not going to have it end off when the enemy dies, because AoE doesn't count. Enemy dies, it stops casting, so it's going to be a problem for you in Dark Visions to get that high score. To 1 enemy here, to 1 enemy here, to 1 enemy here. So there's going to be single target, blow up your enemy. She does have some hitting all enemies here with the other stuff if you need that AoE, but she's a freaking good unit. I was looking forward to her so much, and I have to say that a little bit with Dark Visions, it has calmed me down with anything. Not Dark Visions, Neo Visions, it has calmed me down with anything, but it's still not enough to stop me from trying to get Dark Fina here, so I am going to have some attempts, and if you guys get her, I hope I explained well enough how to use her. So, I don't think I gave Flame of Rebirth Jake enough credit when I reviewed him in the, initial review on my news video. I actually called him, a booby prize, said he wasn't going to be able to hold his own against a lot of these other units, and since I already had AC Cloud, I wasn't interested in Flame of Rebirth Jake. But that doesn't mean that the general consistency is that he's not great, because he's phenomenal. He does a lot of damage. He's under the Dark Fina we just talked about, but not by too much, and he leads the way by quite a lot on the physical damage dealers. But again, this is FFBE. It seems like every other week we're getting topped by some unit, and when Neo Vision comes, that's going to change quite a bit. But I need to start taking my bias out of these units, because just because I like to use AC Cloud doesn't mean people don't want to use Flame of Rebirth Jake and you know, use different units and such, and that's totally fine. I need to be a little bit better at that. So he is a powerhouse when it comes to LB damage, and again, he's going to be very similar to CG Noctis or Regina, and we're going to show you guys why. First off, his TMR is Phoenix Synergy, increase attack 50%, increase fire resist 30%, autocast Phoenix Synergy every turn. And if we click on that, Phoenix Synergy is going to give HP recovery 5,000 to caster, which is absolutely phenomenal. This TMR is great. It's not niche, like I said, on any attacker, getting 5,000 HP back, getting that nice 30% fire resist, and not sacrificing the attack. Both his and Dark Fina's, Bahamut Dark Fina's TMRs are exceptional. They're very, very good, and will have a lot of uses in the future. His weapon is a little bit different. They look cool. Fire type energy bayonet, attack 172 gun weapon, effect flaming ignition, chance to ignore fatal damage 100%. So that is going to give you a guts ability, which we know how strong that can be. How many times that's won me a trial in this game has been very good. And it's going to be a two-handed weapon with the accuracy and the damage range boost up on it. It's very, very good if you guys are going to be using a gun, true double-hander. It's phenomenal. I mean, there's no other way to put it. But again, like the whip, not everybody uses guns. It's for sure not true double-handing guns, so you have to be very picky of how you're going to be able to use this STMR, just like Dark Phoenix. It's weird how robust their TMRs are, and their STMRs are pretty niche, mostly made for them in a way to get the job done. Moving on down, like I said, we're just going to go over this like I would, kind of like I did Dark Fina. We're going to talk about the rotation and what he can do. So essentially, he is going to, again, Regina Noctis. You'll have 5 abilities you can cast, except for Alpha Cannon, which we'll get into. And you're going to pick and choose all the way up, then you're going to LB. And then we're going to keep doing that. You're going to pick 5 different abilities, and then you're going to LB. And that's just how it works. So the 5 different abilities include a couple of cooldowns, some increases to modifiers, while also doing some killer ability buffs up. So that's another thing about Jake that you can use in Dark Visions in tandem with Mastermind Zahn, is he's going to be able to buff himself up to, if we look down here, we have Demon, Dragon, Undead, and then you can spread that to the rest of your team if you need to. So that's something to look forward to in the future if you end up pulling him. So essentially on turn 1, we're going to quintuple cast. We're going to go Firebird Song and Firebird Wings. So those are the 2 abilities. We're going to cast these, quintuple cast these on cooldown when they are up. It's going to give us a big attack increase. It's going to imperil. If we look down here, it's going to be our imperiling, and he does imperil by 120% for 3 elements: fire, wind, and light resist, but it's only single targets, so be aware of that. We're going to be our LB up, and then as you can see, we're increasing modifiers to an ability called Last Shot. And just so you guys know, Last Shot is not Alpha Cannon. There's a big difference here. Last Shot can be cast at the end of this quintuple cast, which is what we're going to want to have done. And we're also getting our LB gauge up as we cast these different abilities. So Firebird Song, Firebird Wings. We're going to buff our attack up. We're going to get those nice multipliers. We're going to imperil. Then we're going to move on to Cremation. Now we have 1, 2 cast here. We're going to cast 2 Cremations, okay? That's to get our modifiers up again for Last Shot, while giving us some LB that we can cast the next turn and giving us some killer abilities. So this is going to be very dependent on if you're fighting a Demon, Dragon, Undead. If you're not fighting any of them, you still need to cast these, but it's not going to matter, right? You need to cast these for those modifier and LB increases. After that, you're always going to finish with Last Shot. We've been building this bad boy up with a ton of different multiplier increases over the last 4 abilities, and now we're going to finish off all of that damage with this big hitting ability in Last Shot, and then we're also increasing our LB damage by 175%. So the next turn, we're going to be casting our LB, so we want that LB damage increase. Again, it is a 1 hit. It'd be nice to finish off with that chain. I know he's casting a lot of different abilities, but if you can get him to finish, that's what he is. He is a finisher. He's going to need some chaining assist to do the big buku damage that he is capable of doing. The next turn, you're just going to go ahead and go down and do this amazing LB dual flame bayonets. Physical damage 65 times all enemies, but we do have that LB boost. Auto revive 100% HP for 2 turns to caster, so he puts an auto revive on himself, and he increases modifiers 50 times to Alpha Cannon. But the thing about Alpha Cannon we just talked about was it cannot be quintuple casted, right? Like you would have to cast it on your own and then set up again. And because of that, because this setup won't be there to use the LB every 2 turns, if you cast Alpha Cannon, at least in the beginning of me analyzing this unit, will not not be used at all. It will actually set you back too many turns to where you can't, like, I think LB spam is where you want to be. You want to build him LB damage. So we're going to leave Alpha Cannon, even though it's a nice big 50 times modifier added on this thing, and it does increase modifiers to last shot. The problem is it can't be dual casted. It can't be quintuple casted, triple casted. It is left out there, and with that, we're going to be leaving Alpha Cannon out in the rain. So the next turn after you LB, so we did our 5 cast on turn 1, then we LB'd. The next thing you guys want to do is kind of the same deal. You want to just be casting the different abilities. The one you want to throw in now, because our CDs are not there, you want to make sure you're throwing in Power Load. It's going to be another way to increase your LB, because again, you have to pick 5 different abilities. We're going to throw Power Load in there. It's going to give us some some increased modifiers to Last Shot, and we're going to finish with Last Shot. So it's going to be Cremation, Dragon, Demon, Power Load, Last Shot, and that's going to give us our LB back. Then we're going to LB, and then guess what? Our CDs are going to be back up on cooldown. So when the CDs are up, they take the place of Power Load. When they're not there, we got to Power Load and cast one of these other damage dealing abilities here, or excuse me, modifier increasing abilities here, to make sure we're getting that LB and those modifiers up, because we can't keep the same ability twice, right? We can't just go Demon Creation, Demon Creation, Demon Creation over and over again. We have to pick different ones. So overall, that's how the unit works. That is him in a nutshell. You're building him true double hand. That's how you want it to be. You can see here that's what we're going to be going with. He does have some big killers to demons, dragons, and undeads, and he buffs himself up with those, and we can spread that out to the whole team. You can see that through his different passes and stuff, he's going to actually get quite a lot of true double hand, going up to, looks like to me, what is this, 250%, and that's just from his passives, man. That's pretty strong and pretty good there. And then his LB is going to be ridiculous, so you want to build him LB damage while being somewhat of a simplistic unit. If you guys can chain modify for him, if you can imbue for him, not chain modify, chain support for him, meaning that you have a chainer that he can finish on top of, this guy is going to roast things. Like you're talking about a flaming bird, like you're going to turn everything into dust. It's going to be really, really powerful, and he's pretty simple in his rotation. Just again, you make sure you're casting those 5 different abilities and making sure you're getting your LB every other turn, and it should be pretty simple. For everybody out there that are Flame of Rebirth Jake fans, after doing some research on him, like I said, I like him even more than I did before, much more than I did before. And if you end up getting him, that's how you use him, and I hope he takes you really far in everything you want to do in FFBE. And finally, let's talk about our breaking support, Healing Avatar Lid. Again, I love her design. I think it's so over the top. All of these units have been kind of over the top, but I love yellow. It's super pretty looking, and it makes me drawn in, and I like it the most out of all of them. Her TMR is going to be super niche in Lakshmi Synergy. Going to be able to counter either physical or magic attacks, or have a chance to, with Lakshmi Synergy, which just cures everybody of all status elements. I don't know about you guys, but when I go into a trial, I like to be 100% resist to whatever I'm going to be getting my hands into, and then I know the boss is in peril, but then I like to cast, another resist on myself to stack it up so the imperil doesn't get me. Now, there may be times when the boss is like, screw that, I'm going to dispel your buff, I'm going to imperil you, then I'm going to hit you with a status element, then perhaps maybe we can put our hands together and hope Lakshmi Synergy saves us by countering with a 30% chance. Other than that, just seems like a super niche TMR, not like the other two, which have a wide abundance of uses. Then our STMR is going to be Healing's Avatar Hammer. Again, not the best in the world in my opinion. We have Blessed Hands, putting up your LB gauge fill rate, Unstoppable Protection, and Charming Protection. This is going to allow you to cast a 100% resist to charm or stop whoever's holding the hammer. It's not like Thor, though. This is like anybody can have this hammer on that can equip hammers. And it's going to be there for that if you need it. I think a lot of us have these units out there now that have resistance to charm or stop and can put up our resistances, or at least cure them if that was to happen. So very niche on both of these, which is sadly a miss there with our girl Lid. Moving on down, she is going to be a breaker and a breaker plus support unit with a little bit of damage. She has AoE 75% breaks here that we can see with Goddess's Restraint, and then attack and Goddess's Restraint defense. But if you want those bigger breaks, you can go ahead and go, if you're off cooldown or off LB, you can go ahead and go with Attack Sealing Mirror or Defense Sealing Mirror, which is going to give you 80%, but that's going to be single target. So if you have to do it to a lot of enemies, you're going to have to go down to the 75% if you're off CD or LB, or you can use Defense Sealing Mirrors and go ahead and go in there and do the single single target to make sure you get the most out of your breaks. Moving on down, she does have a heal and an MP up for all allies, so that's going to help you guys. Lotus Bud, if you need some extra healing or if you need some extra MP regeneration, she has you there. She also has decreased fire, wind, and light resist by 100% for 3 enemies. She can cast that just whenever she wants on demand, but she has better ones up to 120% here with Avatar's Indignation. We have decreased fire, wind, light resist by 120% for 1 turn to all enemies, but then it auto casts next turn the same thing. So it kind of lasts for 2 turns, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown, so she can't have that up all the time. Her big thing that I really like about her, which I think is huge and maybe people may overlook, is her break CD. So a lot of the breakers out there, they have their big breaks on a CD, and then on their LB it goes even higher. We have an 80% break, all break to all enemies, but it also removes all buffs from all enemies. So it's not going to be getting rid of any of the nasty imperils, the other stuff you put on the bad guy. It's only going to be getting rid of what they did to themselves or what they did to make them stronger. So that is absolutely unreal to me. It lasts for 4 turns. It's a 4-turn cooldown, so you shouldn't have any problems with casting this, in my opinion. So maybe these other breaks won't be used, but I just wanted to point them out just in case you find yourself in a scenario where you need to use that. Or maybe you want to hold on to this move here because you want to hold on to it and keep it handy just in case you need to remove the buffs without removing the debuffs and kind of resetting the boss. So that's going to be up to you. Avatar's Mercies is her next cooldown she can use. Increases resist to all status elements 100%. Increases attack, defense, magic, stop, and spirit. And charm resist puts it up for 3 turns to all allies. So again, even without the hammer, she's already doing that with this CD. Now, I'm not saying it only lasts 3 turns. It's a 6-turn cooldown. It's not 100% time up, but a lot of the time you don't need stop and charm up 100%. So that's something to be aware of as we move down. Going on down, I'm just going to go straight to her LB. This is something I need to talk about here. It's going to do the physical damage, but it's going to do like every breaker does. That's going to be where the big break is. Lasts for 3 turns. Decrease attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 85%. I'm still living in the past life. I'm using Sylvie for my breaks. I never got Riku, the next step in breaking, so I need her, or I'm going to have to wait on Vaughn. That's the comparison people are going to make between Lakshmi Lid and Vaughn. I think they both have their merits. I think Vaughn is a bit better. I think Vaughn will be coming out in the next coming weeks. So be aware of that. And then Inflict Charm, 30% chance. Now, it's not going to happen that often. You're not going to be spamming your LB every turn and hoping to charm them and have a free turn, but it could happen. And having that there is kind of cool. It's just like, you don't have, it's like a side thing. It's like a little bit of icing on the cake. It's like, maybe I charm the enemy and maybe I get a free turn, which would be stellar there. The next thing she has is chance to counter physical attacks and magic attacks with an ability called Loving Engineer. That's going to give her increased physical damage against machines for 3 turns to all allies and increased magic damage against machines for 3 turns to all allies. So if she gets hit, she has a pretty substantial 40% chance to go ahead and give everybody on your squad machine killer, whether it be magic or physical, which could come in handy when you're fighting a machine. Other than that, she's going to have like the normal support, how to build her up kind of stuff, you know, build her tanky, build her defense and spirit up, LB increases, all that good stuff. So you want to be spamming her LB and making sure she can do her supporting abilities while also breaking and staying alive so she can help everybody else on your team. So again, great unit, phenomenal. That removing buffs is great. However, again, people have Riku, people just got the new 2B breaker kind of enhanced there, and then we're also going to be having Vaughn in the future that I know a lot of people are going to be pulling for as well. So while she is amazing, those are just some things to consider when looking at healing Avatar Lid. So guys, we're going to wrap this banner review up by saying this is a phenomenal banner. You have 2 of the best right now in global LB finishers here in Jake. You have one of the best and will stay strong for a long time magic finisher, or magic damage dealer, excuse me, chainer in Bahamut Dark Fina. And then we have a really great breaker as well in healing Avatar Lid. You can't go wrong on this banner when it comes to what you get. I thought that Jake would be a little bit lacking. Turns out he's not, which is kind of good to know. But there are some banners on the horizon. I do feel that Vaughn is coming, and everybody knows, or if you don't know, his STMR is insane. Vaughn himself is insane. And then I think Neo Visions is going to be announced at this anniversary and will be coming in the next few months. So you really have to decide for yourself, spinning a little lapis here or saving it all up for some of the other pools. If you really love these units, they're not going to do you wrong, and they're going to be pretty good for you for a long time to come, because it doesn't matter. I mean, this is how the game works. I always want to speak on, you know, which is the best damage dealer. Should you hold off for maybe even more damage on a damage dealer? But a lot of the content, you know, Flame of Rebirth Jake and Umbral Dragon Dark Fina are gonna crush. Breaking people by 85% is amazing, and like these units are gonna be able to be used for a long time to come in trials. But I know a lot of people also want to know, you know, well, if I hold off a little bit more, what's in the future? How much more power creep? Because FFBE should be Final Fantasy Brave Exvius power creep edition. Like, that's what happens in this game, and a lot of people have fun with that. They like having the best unit, so that's why I really talk about that. But if you know, it's not always about that. Obviously, have fun, pull for the units you want, and just, you know, you could be as meta as you want to be, or you could be non-meta and kill the bosses with whoever you want. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you're pulling for these units, and who do you think's coming up next. I think it's going to be Vaughn. Subscribe for future content here on YouTube. Follow me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Claic Yuzolt, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.